Hey everyone, welcome back to Capital Conservatives. Today we're diving into a jaw-dropping exchange between Senator Kennedy and Attorney Shoemate about universal injunctions, a legal loophole that's being weaponized against the Trump administration. If you've ever wondered how one judge can block a policy for the entire country, even when they only have 2 people in their courtroom, you're about to get the truth. And it's shocking. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. We break down the facts the mainstream media won't touch. Let's get into it. So, what exactly is a universal injunction? According to Shoemate, it's when a single federal judge issues an order that doesn't just apply to the case in front of them, it blocks the government from enforcing a policy nationwide. That means one activist judge in California can override the entire executive branch.
Mr. Shoemate, what's a universal injunction?
Senator, a universal injunction is what we call an order from a court enjoining the government in a way that goes beyond the parties to the case, but applies nationwide or in some cases universally to enjoin the government.
Is it sometimes referred to as a nationwide injunction?
Yes, it is, Senator.
It's the statutory basis, federal judge issuing an order that affects people other than the parties before the court.
I'm not aware of a statutory basis, Senator.
No statutory basis, is there?
No, Senator.
What's the United States Supreme Court opinion which interprets the Constitution in a way that allows a federal district court judge to do this? Can you name me that case?
I'm not aware of one, Senator.
There isn't one, is there?
I'm not aware of one, Senator.
Kennedy hits hard. Where's the legal basis for this? And guess what? There isn't one. No statute, no Supreme Court precedent. Not even English common law supports this. So how did this become a thing? Stick around, it gets even wilder. Kennedy demolishes the argument for universal injunctions. He asks, how can a judge rule for people not in the courtroom? Shoemate admits, there's no constitutional basis. Think about it. If you sue the government, the judge's power should only affect you. But now, one lawsuit can freeze policies for 330 million Americans. Kennedy points out, that's why we have class actions. But activists skip that step because they know they'd lose. This isn't justice, it's legal activism. And both sides have abused it, but who's getting hit the hardest? That's next.
Now, explain to me how this works. You have a plaintiff and you have a defendant. And the plaintiff files a lawsuit and goes in front of a federal judge. Federal judge has certain jurisdiction in personam and subject matter over the parties, the people, the plaintiff and the defendant. They're the only 2 people in court. How can a judge, a federal judge, issue an order that affects everybody else other than those in front of him or her? Is that possible?
It shouldn't be possible, Senator, but district courts do it all the time. I think on the theory that the courts need to enjoin a federal policy from going into effect, and they often will enjoin it as nationwide, so all non-parties are protected by that injunction.
I thought that if you wanted to affect parties who aren't in court, you had to file a class action.
That's correct, Senator.
So why don't the federal judges, instead of issuing a universal injunction with no legal basis, tell the plaintiff, look, you got to go file a class action if you want to impact parties who aren't subject to my court?
Senator, the Department of Justice makes that argument all the time in our briefs. I think in many cases class actions would be inappropriate. They wouldn't. The plaintiffs couldn't satisfy Rule 23 to establish a class.
Here's the real scandal. In the 20th century, there were only 27 universal injunctions, but under Trump, 86 in his first term alone. And now, in his second term, 30 more have already been filed. This isn't coincidence. It's targeted sabotage. Left-wing groups shop for the most activist judges, file in friendly districts, and bam, entire policies get shut down nationwide. Kennedy nails it. This is forum shopping, and it's undermining democracy. But what's the solution?
So they couldn't. So they preferred to ask for a universal injunction. Does this encourage forum shopping?
Yes, Senator. Not only does it encourage forum shopping, but also district shopping and filing multiple strategic lawsuits to find one judge that will enjoin a single policy nationwide. Where if you have 5 lawsuits, a plaintiff, only one of those 5 cases needs to be successful.
And both sides, all sides, have used this as a way to forum shop, haven't they?
I think plaintiffs, regardless of administrations, will often file cases in the most favorable forum, yes.
Okay, we've established that there's no basis in statute and no basis in Supreme Court precedent for universal injunction. How about in common law? I mean, universal injunction is basically an equitable remedy. Did this exist in common law courts in England on which our law is based?
I believe so, Senator. I think the government has cited cases from the Supreme Court that says, courts are really bound by the scope of relief that a court in equity would have granted back in England before the founding, and the courts at that time would grant relief to the parties in the case, not far beyond the.
A universal injunction as a remedy is unknown in English common law, is it not?
Okay.
Keep watching. Kennedy's solution? Congress must act. Article 3 says judges rule on cases and controversies, not rewrite laws for everyone. If judges can't restrain themselves, then Congress should ban universal injunctions and force activists to use class actions, like the law actually allows. This affects you. Whether it's immigration, healthcare, or free speech, one judge shouldn't decide for all of us. Want more breakdowns like this? Subscribe and hit the notification bell. We're fighting back with the truth. Folks, universal injunctions are a dangerous power grab. No legal basis, no accountability, and rampant abuse.
It's unknown. Wasn't part of equity. Only about 27 universal injunctions were issued in the 20th century. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right, Senator.
But 86 of them were issued against President Trump in his first term. Is that correct?
I don't know the specific number, but they were a high number.
And so far in President Trump's second term, 30 universal injunctions have been issued against him, have they not?
Senator, I don't have a specific number, but that sounds about right.
The universal injunction has become a weapon against the Trump administration, has it not?
Yes.
And tell me again in my last 10 seconds, tell me the basis for universal injunction in Article 3. I read Article 3, which defines judicial power. Where does it mention universal injunction?
It does not, Senator. It says courts are to decide the case or controversy before them, which is based on the parties to the case.
So the Congress would act and say, look, federal judges, you render a decision to a plaintiff or a defendant, but you can't impact people outside of your courtroom other than through a class action. That's why God created class actions, isn't it?
Yes, Senator.
Thank you, Mr.
Kennedy exposed it, and now we're spreading the word. Drop a comment below. Should Congress ban universal injunctions? Let's get 500 likes to keep this conversation going. And subscribe. Capital Conservatives is your voice against judicial overreach. See you in the next video. Stay in